We had our opportunities. Didn't take advantage of it. Talking about an experienced team that was physical, I think the things that jumped out to me and probably to everybody else, we need to be much more physical on the O-line and at tight end. There was times where we did not win those matchups. Too many times that we were getting knocked back in the backfield. It made it difficult to consistently run the ball for positive yardage. Got to score touchdowns and not kick field goals in the red zone. That goes hand in hand with my initial statement of being able to run the ball, be physical. We went with some run-pass checks where we were going to run the ball, no specific look, or throw the ball, no specific look. They gave us the look to run the ball, and we weren't able to do that. So need to be much more aggressive there and find a way to score touchdowns.
Looking back, you scored 8 touchdowns in 11 trips to the red zone in your previous 3 games, and I was wondering the problems you had there against Michigan. Did they go beyond the offensive line and tight ends not being physical enough?
I think it's probably that's probably the biggest point. I would say there's been games where we've matched up pretty well and we've been able to be balanced and be successful there. And then there's been games where we haven't matched up real well and haven't been balanced and it's thrown things out of whack. We had an opportunity to hit a fade to Gino that we didn't hit, and we've hit them the last couple weeks. We left the ball off the field. They were physical up front, like I said, and we're knocking some of our linemen. It wasn't the same guy all the time, but it'd be one guy one play, another guy another play. But I think that was the biggest difference. If you look, to me, our seasons, the games that our D-line has had an advantage over their O-line, or the games that our O-line has been able to battle and be scrappy with the opposing D-lines, we've been successful. The games that's been out of whack, we've struggled, and that's something that we've been talking about for 2 years, and we're headed in the right direction, but not as quickly as everybody would like, including me.
You mentioned earlier that Michigan State established a culture of winning there. How long does that take to happen for a coach, and where do you think you're at Penn State regarding that process?
I think it depends. I can't speak on Michigan State. I think if you look across the country, there's some programs that have won and won and won year after year after year, no matter what the circumstances have been. And I think it takes a number of years. I think we have had it historically, obviously, over the long haul. There's no doubt about it. But I think it takes some time. I think, for us, obviously, we're just coming out of some of the challenges that we've been through that have had an effect. There's no doubt about it. But it takes some time. It takes some time in terms of, creating your identity on offense, defense, and special teams. And when I say your identity, I'm talking about, the program's identity. And then also getting all the pieces of the puzzle meshing well together. That's the coaches, that's the players, that's the depth, from freshman, sophomore, junior, senior classes, and the older guys teaching the young guys what it takes to be successful academically and athletically and socially, the whole package. It's all those things, because you can't be successful in one area and not the others. You got to do it in every area. And I think that's my focus right now, is that we are doing it in a number of areas. But we have to make sure that we're doing it in every area.
There was a lot of talk about tackling during and after the last game, and all season really. When you look at film after game and evaluate something like tackling, how do you go about judging that? You have a guy with a short pass to space, which happened a lot Saturday, and he makes the first guy miss. Is that more of a credit to the guy making the play, or do you look at it as our guy has to make that stop?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. We're playing talented teams with talented people. And if you're not in the right position, don't have the right leverage, they're gonna make you miss. And the other thing is making sure that all other 10 guys are running to the ball. So if the guy does make you miss, sometimes missing a tackle isn't the end of the world. You can't miss the tackle and be in the wrong leverage. That can't happen. You got to have the right leverage and make the tackle. And if you miss the tackle, you got to have the right leverage so your teammates can have your back and run to the ball. So if you're the contained player and you lose your leverage and you're inside, now your teammates can't help you because now the ball's going down the sideline. Those are the things that we got to get cleaned up. You know, and then the other thing is we're banged up. You know, we're banged up right now this week, probably more so than we've been in a long time. That's showing up as the season is going on. But probably more so this week than really in the year and a half we've been here.
You talked about establishing the physical identity on the offensive line. What's been the struggle this year that's prevented that? Has it been injuries, the different line combinations, communication? What has been the roadblock there?
I think it's a number of things. It's Audrey's favorite discussion point is you got Paris, who's 297 pounds and still looks like a power forward, where, you know, I think a year from now he's going to be 315 pounds, and that matters. You look at our league, you know, pretty much everybody has a defensive end that's 280 pounds to 300. They got one DN who's a big physical guy. They got another DN who's more of a pass rusher. I'm looking at Michigan State's offensive line this week. I think they're 295, 325, 325, 315, and 325. I think they're massive human beings, and we're still kind of working towards that. You know, size isn't everything, experience isn't everything, but those two things together help. You know, they help. You know, as you know, we got some guys that we've moved over from the other side of the ball, and I think they've done extremely well. But that's a change. You know, I mentioned before the year that we have more depth than we've had in the past, but I don't know if we still have more game depth at this time. And we're working towards that. Our second team guys are Noah Bay, who when we signed him was a 238-pound offensive tackle out of Scranton, who was committed when we got the job. He's done a great job, but he's not ready to be a true backup yet in the Big Ten and step on the field. You know, I've mentioned to you guys before that you're going to have the exception from time to time, a young kid that gets on the field, but when you got it rolling, your O-line and D-line is redshirt sophomores, redshirt juniors, and redshirt seniors into two deep that are rotating in and playing at a high level. Are there the exceptions? No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So, you know, I've mentioned this before, that's a position that it's hard to solve it overnight. You look at our D-line. Why is our D-line playing at a high level? Because we have depth and experience at that position. So we're getting there. And, you know, we had a discussion as a staff the other day. You know, you watch our guys in practice in one-on-ones against our D-line, you know, in some of the competitive periods that we go against our defense from the beginning of the year to now, or from last year to now, it's dramatically improved. But again, not as much as we would all hope. You'd like it to be a little bit faster. We just finished the nutrition bar. The administration helped with that. That's been huge. So hopefully we'll put on 2 pounds this week on average across the O-line, and you'll see a significant difference on Saturday with the yogurts and the smoothies. I hope that'll be the difference.
James, when you self-scout as a program, how do you draw the line between this is as good as we can be right now at this area, regardless of what we do, and this is something we can be better at, and we have the ability to do whatever it is to improve that area?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I don't think you ever say we're as good as we can be at any position or in any scenario. You're always striving for more. You win a national championship, you get drafted in the first round, you always need to be striving for more. But I do think you look at your situation. You know, we went into this season, we ranked positions on offense, we ranked positions on defense. We knew the defensive line had a chance to be pretty darn good. We knew that. We knew the offensive line and the tight ends was going to be an area for growth for us. So yeah, you're not going to self-scout and compare your D-line with where your O-line. It's based on where you're at. And those things are constantly being evaluated. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, you're basing it on what you think you're working with in the beginning. Back to our comment with Noah Bay. Noah Bay's made tremendous progress in the past year. Is it enough to be ready to play on Saturday? No. Noah Bay's going to be a great player here at some point. Is it this Saturday? No.
Time for 2 more, Audrey?
Could it just be time for one more? No, I'm kidding.
That's too much pressure for me. But kind of going back to Ben's question, a lot of people, when they look at this offense, they see the numbers, they see the overall rankings, and that's what they kind of go off of. Because like you said, they don't see the progress behind the scenes. So do you think on your staff you have the right guys for this offense to make it work?
Let me say this. I am just aware of our challenges, and more so than anybody else that's looking at it. I know on offense we have some challenges that we need to get cleaned up. I know on defense we got some challenges we get cleaned up. I know on special teams we got some challenges to get cleaned up. There's academic work that we need to improve on that you guys aren't aware of. There's a lot of areas, and there is nobody that's taken a harder, more detailed look than me. But besides that, right now our focus is on doing everything we possibly can to prepare for Michigan State. Any other discussions, any other conversations, I don't see how they help us get ready to beat Michigan State. But I want to make sure that you and our fans and everybody are aware. I can identify and I can see the problems and the challenges that we have, just like everybody else can. And we're addressing them every single day. We're addressing them every single day. But right now, our focus is on getting ready for Michigan State and making sure everything that we talk about, everything we do, gives our players the best chance to go out and be successful Saturday.
Hey James, a lot of these conversations that we're having with you right now, it feels like we had very similar conversations with you at the beginning of the year about the same phases of the ball and improvement across the board. So what's been the biggest roadblock in improving in those phases then, since we're having the same conversations?
I think we have improved. Again, you look at our conference record is better right now. You look at some of the things that we've been able to do on offense, defense, especially if you look at times, we've done some nice things. So I think we have improved. We have more wins right now than we did at this time last year. So there is progress being made. Is it to the degree that everybody wants it to be, including myself? No, it's not. Is it the pace that everybody wants it to be? No, it's not. But there is progress being made. Our O-line has improved from the beginning of the year. Our O-line has improved from last year. I would make the argument that we have. But those conversations, like I said at the beginning of the year, was not going to be solved overnight. And there are options out there. There are options out there that you could go to. We've chosen not to go those routes like we've talked about before, with signing a bunch of junior college players, because I don't think that's the right thing to do for Penn State long term.
Then what was the decision behind signing Paris Palmer then at that left tackle position, if that is a junior college quick fix?
Right. That's kind of what I had mentioned before. There's a difference between going out and filling a specific hole or going out and signing 5 or 10 or 12 junior college players. And now you get into a situation where you almost have to do that every year, because the turnover happens so much in your program. So yeah, we're going to look at junior college from time to time, but we're going to build this program with high school prospects. And high school prospects when they're 17, 18 years old, takes time. It takes time, especially at those positions, to develop them, because the further you are away from the ball, typically the earlier you can play. The closer you are to the ball, when it is a strength and size and maturity aspect of the game, there's a big difference between being 18 years old and being 21, 22 years old.